So we're going to study the circle today. We're going to study the perimeter of a circle. And we will eventually study the area of a circle. Okay, so let's start with the perimeter. So when we talk about the perimeter of a circle, we're talking about the outside of a circle. Now, when you look at a circle, there is a center point always drawn with it, and there is usually a line that is drawn from the middle to the outside. We call that the radius. Now, the radius, also known as r, is always used in calculating either the distance around the circle, the outside of the circle, or the perimeter. Now, here is another term. So let's say I have a line that goes all the way across here of my circle. We call that the diameter. D. Okay? Now, the diameter is twice the radius. Or if I ever wanted to calculate the radius from my diameter, I go, take my radius, and it's equal to the diameter divided by 2. Now, this is very important. You will use this several times in your life. Okay? Now, here is the equation that we're going to be working for the day, for this lesson. So, the perimeter of a circle, also known as the circumference, C is equal to 2 times 3.14 times the radius. That's it. That is it. That is what we're using today for calculating our circumferences. Okay? So remember, a radius is this part going from the center to the outside, but we sometimes might have the diameter. And the radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. Now, let's go and do some sample problems. Okay. So now, find the circumference. So remember, circumference means the perimeter of the circle. So here is example 1, A. So let's say I have a circle that looks like this with a point, and then there's my line, and this is, say, 2 centimeters. Okay, so now that's 2 centimeters. So the radius r is equal to 2 centimeters. I want to know the circumference. So the circumference is equal to 2 times 3.14 times r. So C is equal to 2 times 3.14 times 2 centimeters. So now all we do is we just punch it in, get our answer. So we end up being C is equal to 12.56 centimeters. So you'll notice that when we do these, the perimeter is in centimeters, it's meters, or it's kilometers, or it's feet. It's not feet squared, it's nothing else like that. It's just a single number, no squared, nothing. Okay, let's take a look at another problem. Okay, so here's our example. Here is our circle. Here is our radius. Let's say it's 5. Pause the video, look at what we did before, and do the problem on your own. Start with r equals, and then c equals, and then remember our equation is 2 times 3.14 times r. Do the calculation and see if you did exactly the same as me. Make sure that this is in meters. Okay, now you've unpaused. So in this case, our radius is 5 meters. And now we substitute directly in. So c is equal to 2 times 3.14 times 5 meters. Now when we calculate, we end up with c is equal to 31.4 meters. And like I said before, it's not meters squared, it's just meters, kilometers, centimeters, foot, yards, stuff like that. So we're done. So now let's take a look at the next type of problem that you'll see. So now imagine I have a circle, but I have a line that goes all the way through it. This is what you know. The moment you see that, your diameter is equal to 10, which means our radius is equal to 10 divided by 2. So this is the important part. And then we end up having the same equation that we used for our circumference. So the circumference is equal to 2 times 3.14 times the radius. In this case, the radius of our circle is 5. So we use that in our equation and we do our calculation again. And so now all we have to do is just substitute our numbers in. So 2 times 3.14 times 5. And we end up with 31.4 centimeters. And we're done. So the circumference is 31.4 centimeters. So now, that's the simple problem. So imagine I have something that looks like this. Imagine I have, this is our challenge for today. Let's say that I have a circle that looks like this. This is exactly half the circle. How do I get the outside of this circle? Well, pause the video and then do your own calculations and then take a look at how I do it. So now, once you've unpaused, number 1, we're going to start with the circumference of the whole circle. So the circumference of the whole circle is 2 times 3.14 times r, right? Now, pause the video, and I'm going to give you the radius of this circle. The radius of this circle is going to be, say, 2, okay? And we'll make it 2 feet, okay? So now, the radius of our circle is 2 feet. Now, I want to figure out the outside of this circle. Figure out the outside here, okay? So if I want to find the outside of a half circle, here's what we do. We find our original circumference, which is 2 times 3.14 times 2. Okay? And when you calculate that, you're going to get 12.56 feet. So now that I've got that, here's the second part. Because it's half, we divide it by 2. That's it. So in this case, C is equal to 12.56 feet, and then we divide by 2. And you end up with 6.28 feet on the outside. Now you notice I only talked about this portion of our circle. If I ever asked you for the enclosed circle, we would have had to have added these things here. Okay? Now the same thing can be done for a quarter circle, a third of a circle. You find the circumference and you divide by whether it's a half by 2, a third by 3, or a quarter by 4. And we're done. Now I'd like you to go and do some of the practice problems I provided for you. Take care.